Welcome to the Vox Pathfinder 15R channel, and today we're going to see whether we can use one of these MK-168 transistor testers to test the validity of these filter capacitors when they're in circuit. And then what we're going to do is going to unsolder one end, lift it, test it again, and see whether or not the results match. I have high hopes for this, but you never know. So I'm just going to go and start connecting these up. So I'll just call this capacitor 1, and then 2, 3, and so on. We'll just write the results. Okay, it's doing its thing. Okay, so we have number 1, 93 and about a half microfarads, 10% V loss, and 0.41 ohms ESR. Okay, so we're just going to continue moving down the list. I'll just remove one probe at a time. Number 2. It's basically identical, 0.39 ESR ohms. Okay, this is number 3. Point, 9.9%. It's looking very similar, ESR 0.4 ohms. Okay, 93, and I think the capacitance is close enough. These are all supposed to be 22 microfarads, so already I'm disappointed in the ability of this machine to test. Because these filter capacitors, depending on the orientation, I think maybe these three, this is a Carvin MTS 3200 preamp board. These three might be parallel, but these should be separate. So there's like a resistor, so it should they should be isolated. Okay, so number 4, unknown. Here's number 5. Come on. Unknown. Okay, and lastly, number 6. Ideally, I'd like to be able to test these capacitors in circuit, not have to remove them to figure out what the health is. Because I think these are installed in 1996. Okay, here we go. We got V loss. Well, we have 29.32 microfarads, a 1.1% V loss, and 1.4 ohms ESR. Okay, so that's how this meter saw these capacitors as they are integrated into the circuit. Now let's see if we unsolder or desolder one side, will we have a better result. Okay, so I got my meter my whatchamacallit, this device that applies a lot of heat, set at about 650 degrees, which I think is safe for these type of printed board circuits, along with this braid. See how that works. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll unsolder those. I won't bore you with that detail, and then we'll get those out of the circuit and then we'll test them again. So we'll be right back. Okay, I am back, and I got one leg desoldered on all of them. The first one I had to take completely out. So let's just give this a whirl and see what the results are. Waiting. Okay, V loss 0.9%, ESR 1 ohm, 29.19 microfarads. All right, so now let's just connect this to capacitor 2. Okay, let's give this a test. All right. Okay, we have a V loss of 0.9%, ESR of 0.94 ohms, 28.78 microfarads. All right, let's go on to the next one in line that we're calling capacitor number 3. All right. Okay. Already there's going to be stark differences between in-circuit, outer-circuit. V loss 0.8%, ESR 1.1 ohm, 29.87 farads. So far they look pretty healthy to me. Let's go on to capacitor number 4. I think, let's see, capacitor number 4 and 5 said it was unknown or damaged. So let's see how it is out of circuit. V loss 0.9%, ESR 0.94 ohms, 30.35 microfarad. All right, let's move on down the list. Of course, that was unknown. Capacitor number 5. Okay, let's see, it's prepping. 1.1% V loss. 1 ohm ESR, 29.46 microfarads. And for the last one, what do we have? V loss 1%, ESR 1.2 ohms, 29.39 microfarads. Okay, so here's the list. If you remember number 1, 2, and 3, we had like 93.5 microfarads, like 10% V loss, ESR 0.41, ESR 0.89. It was all over the map. But when you look at here, these are all supposed to be 22 microfarad capacitors. The V loss are all pretty small, and so is the ESR. Now capacitor number 4 and 5, when they were in the circuit, were unknown. Out of circuit, we have 30.35 microfarads, 29.46, V loss of 0.9%, 1%, ESR 0.94 ohms to 1 ohms. And lastly, capacitor 6, tested at 29.32 microfarads. In circuit, out of circuit, tested 29.39 microfarads. V loss 1.1%, V loss 1, ESR 1.4, ESR 1.2. So this was actually in circuit, and out of circuit came pretty close. But the way the circuit is wired for the other 5, the testing ability of the MK-168 transistor tester is not very good for in circuit, at least for these power filtering capacitors. Okay, I hope that was useful.